What's up, everybody? I'm Ian with Club Salty Aquatics, and today we are talking about the hot topic of what to look for when you're picking out your specimens you're putting into your tanks. Now, first we're going to talk about fish because this is applicable to everybody in the aquarium hobby. When you're picking fish, you want to look for several things. Number one, you want to be looking for any kind of spots or damage to the fish's body that you're looking at purchasing. Number two, you want to look for any kind of breaking of the fins or clouding of the eyes or anything like that. That kind of sums up as just looking at the body in general. But I kind of lump it in a different category because a lot of times you can see, fin tearing and cloudiness in the eyes, but no damage to the body or no spots on the body. Number three, always be watching the way it interacts with its tank mates. Is it aggressive, or is it other fish being aggressive to it? Next, you're really going to be wanting to see how it's eating, so find whoever's taking care of those fish and ask if they might do a small feeding just to make sure that it is active in feeding, because a fish that is sick typically will not eat, and a fish that is eating is typically not sick. I say typically because this is just a generalized rule of thumb. Of course, when you're getting fish, it's always best to have a quarantine tank or a hospital tank to where you can monitor the fish for longer periods of time. But not all of us have the luxury, so if you do not have those quarantine or hospital tanks, it is even more important to be taking the time at your local fish supplier to make sure these fish are healthy. Now, let's move on to the part that's going to be more targeted towards the reef aquarium hobbyists. When you're looking for corals, there's three things really that I'm looking for. First off is, how are they being housed? Are the tanks looking clean, or is there detritus or algae buildup in the tanks? Is there a proper water flow in the tanks, and what kind of filter system or dosing systems do they have in place? You may have to ask your local fish supplier on what they're doing for their corals, but it's important to know because of two reasons. First off, if they're not taking care of them properly, it's probably not something you want to put in your tank. Two, if they're going over and above the care for those corals and you're putting them into a tank that is relatively simplistic, that you may not be dosing or anything, or you may not be watching your alkalinity like they do at the shop, it can cause the coral to have more struggles in the long run. Now, that can be remedied in multiple ways, which we'll cover in a later Hot Topic Tuesday. But, second off, other than your tank or how the corals are being held, I like to look at the coloration and polyp extension of the corals. A coral that is healthy will have nice, vivid colors and will have good polyp extension, stretching out for that food coming through by the current. Hey buddy, come on up here. Get in this video with me. This is my dog Spinner. It's my loyal companion and helping Paw at ruining everything. But I love him anyways. On to number three, and this is the most important when we're talking about corals. Be looking at the base of whatever they're attached to. These corals are just segments of a larger colony that have been cut and glued onto something to start growing again. That's a huge trauma on the coral, and a coral that has not started encrusting or onto whatever it has been glued or adhesed to is not a coral that I typically will want to purchase. If a coral is having an encrusting on whatever it is, it means that it has recovered from the initial cut of whatever colony it came off of, and it is metabolizing well enough to continue growing. That's the number one most important thing. And one other thing I guess we'll throw in as a fourth one, be looking for any kind of parasites. Spots on the coral that look dead, and the rest of it looks alive, is often a sign of some kind of parasitic worm or any kind of other parasite. If you enjoyed this, I hope you guys come back next Tuesday for another Hot Topic Tuesday, where we discuss the hottest topics in the reefing community. I'm Ian, and this is Club Salty Aquatics. Until next time, guys, I hope you have a great day. Take it easy.